Hello friend, welcome back. In our previous video here we successfully created one of the database table as a student class, and also we have created one of the page for this, that is our student class list. And now we load all that our view page, and also they have another button for the add student class. So right now with this data is empty because of all here I didn't insert any data. Now I want to insert only one field that will be as a name, right? So here if you want to do that work, so here first of all you have to load one of the view page for add this student. So that is actually our button. If you go in our web class, so that is our button as a add student class. So first of all I want to add one of the route for this one. So that will be as a student and then class add. So this type of one of the route I want to create. So now go to our web route. Into the web route, better I copy it and here I paste it. Okay, and also for this section I put some of the note for you. That will be as a student class. Okay, student class routes. So that will be as a student class routes, and now that will be on the add, right? So here I have created as a student class add. So that is actually our student class add route. I copy it. That will be the student class add, and also I want to create one of the route. Our URL will be as a student class add, and then our student class controller. Into the student class controller I want to create one of the method, and I just name that method as a student. Okay, student and then class add. So this type of one of the method I want to create in our student class controller. So now go to our student class controller. Here I want to create one of the new one as a public, and then function. So our method will be as a this one, right? That is a student class add. So here only we have to return one of the view page. So the return and then view, and that view will be as a backend folder, and that is our setup folder, right? That means the setup folder. Here I have also created another folder as a student underscore class, and here I want to create one of the page. That means you do the backend setup student class. Here I want to create another one. Click as a new file, click as a save as, and I just name it as a add underscore class dot blade dot php. Okay, this type of one of the file I want to create. So that will be as a add underscore class. Okay, that will be as a get class. Perfect. So that's all we have to do. I simply return one of the view page. So that is our return view page as the add class. So that is our add class. So this add class will be, we need only one field. Actually they have the only one field that I want to insert, right? So that will be if you go to our change password, into the change password you can see that is actually one of the input fields. So better I want to take that part. So that is our user. Into the user, if you go to that is a view profile and the edit password. So if you go to that edit password, here you can see that is actually the fields, right? So right now I want to copy everything from our edit password. I copy it, and now in our add, that means the add class, here I paste it. So that will be, first of all I want to change it. So that will be as a add student class. So this type of one of the add student class, and also here we have to insert this data. We have to create another route for this one. Method will be as a post method. So right now friend, here we don't need this. I only need one field, right? So that is actually one of the form group. I remove this form group, and also I remove it, and here I name it as a student class name. Okay, and also there is a name. I name it as per our database field name. Always I actually prefer it. So that is our database field name as a name. So now I want to use that field, that means input field name, as a name. And also here we don't need any ID. I remove this ID, make it as a simple, and this type will be as a text type, not the password type, right? So that will be a text type. And here also if you want to display that validation, you can add this validation. So that is a name, and then automatically it will be display that validation message. Perfect. So friend, that's all we have to do. Right now if you click as a save all and go there, now refresh it, and now go to our setup management, go to that class student class, and here if you click as a add student class, Yeah, you can see it's now successfully loaded our add student class. So as I told you, I need only one field, and that will be as a student class name. So that is our name field I have already added. So I named that field name as a name, right? So now I want to insert this data. So if you want to insert this data, there is also one of the form, and that is a submit form, there is a total form. Into the form area, we have to create one of the route for this one. So this route will be, I want to change it. I make it as a store dot student and then class. So this type of one of the route I want to create. So that will be one of the post method, and also there is a CSRF token, right? Now go to our web route. Into the web route, I better copy it, and after that I paste it. So that will be as a, I name it as a store student class. I copy it, so that will be as a store student class. Okay, and our URL will be as a student class. I name it as a student class store. And in our student class controller, I want to create one of the method as a student class store. Student class store. So this type of one of the method I want to create. In our student class controller. Now go to our student class controller, and also it will be as a post method. So make that sure you updated that part. That will be as a post method, right? So now I want to create this method in our student class controller. Now go to there, and then here it will be as a public, and then function. So friend, that is very much easy, one of the code application, right? So I think at that point you already know, but for this project, as I told you, I shared that experiences also with you. So that is our method name, and also that is actually one of the post methods. For the reasons here we have to make it as a, pass it as a request, and then our dollar request. Okay, that will be as a request and the dollar request. And here if you want to display that validation, so into the field area I have already displayed that validations, right? So if you want to display that validation, I have already did that work. If you go to our controller, and for the user controller, maybe I did this type of validation. You can see that is actually our validation code. So now I simply copy it, and then in our student I just simply paste it. Okay, so I have only one field, so that will be only that field name, or database field name as a name, and this name field is required. That means here I have name it, then in our add I have named it as a name, right? And this name I want to make it as a required. And also in our database, into the database I have already make it as a unique. Maybe you can see I have also make it as a unique. So if you want to make this unique, you can also add that validation. That means into the required I also make it as a unique, and unique in our which table, it will be unique in our database table. So that is our student class table, right? So it will be unique in particular this area. And which field will be unique? Here I want to make it as a name. So our this name field will be as a unique. So after that I want to add this field name. Our field name will be as a name. Okay, so perfect. So that is our validation, and after that validation I want to insert this data. So that will be simple process as a data, and then first of all I want to create one of the object. That means the new, and then object for our model. So I have already load our model as a student class model. So into the student class model I want to create this object. Okay, and then I want to pass our data. That means that with this data, first of all, that is actually our database field name, or database field name as a name. That means you can see that is our database field name. That means right into the left position always the your database related everything, into the right position your field. Okay, which field actually you pass it, that means the requested field. So our requested field also the same name as a name. So now I pass it, and then with this request, so with this request our request data field name, is also as a name, right? So now I simply paste it. Perfect. And after that with this data I want to save it. That means with this data I want to save this data. Okay friend, and then if you want to display some of the notification, you can also display it better. If you go to our previous one of the controller, here I have used this type of one of the things, but I copy it. Okay, I copy it. So friend, I have already created that main structure, right? So everything is very easy now because I only used to copy or paste. for specific this all that code application we did a lot of the time. So right now I pass that notification for the toaster, and then when it should be done, that means save this data, it should be displayed the message as a student class inserted successfully, and then also it should be redirect to our view page. That means that is our student class view page. So now I copy it, and it should be redirected to our this route page with the notification, right? Perfect. Now if you click as a save all, and now I want to check it, go there, click as a refresh. So now here I name it as a class 1. Okay, so this type of the name, click as a submit. Yeah, you can see it's now successfully done as a student class inserted successfully. And also you can see there is a serial number or name. That means it's perfectly get this data from our database table, and now it's visible on here. If you go to our database, click as a browse, you can see it's now successfully insert this data. So now I want to add another one as a class 2. Okay, I name it as a class 2. This type of the data name, click as a submit. It's now successfully inserted. I insert another one as a class 3. Okay, class 3. So that will be as a class 3, and now click as a submit. Yeah, everything is now perfectly inserted. And you can see also our toaster is visible as a student class inserted successfully. So friend, we complete our insert portions. Right now there is an edit portion for the update portion, and also the delete portion. So now I want to complete that edit portion also. Okay, so then it should be better. That is in our view. If you go to that view, into the view area, I have already added that name as a edit. So the edit will be as a user edit. So now I want to make it as a student class edit. Okay, so this type of one of the route, and also here I pass one of the specific ID. That means our this table ID, right? That means this table and this ID I passed. So now I want to create this route. Now go to our edit, that means web route, and here it should be as a get method. I copy and paste it. That will be our URL I added here as a student class edit. I copy it, and also they have one of the ID. So now that will be as a student class edit. That means the student class edit, and then one of the ID. I simply add one of the ID. So in our student class controller, I want to create one of the method as a student class edit. So this type of one of the method I want to create in our student class controller, right? So now go to our student class controller. Here after this store, I want to create another one as a public, and then function, and then our method will be as a student class edit. And here also we have to pass one of the requested ID, right? So that is one of the requested ID we have to take it. That will be as a ID. Perfect. And now we have to get this specific one ID data, right? So here I take one of the variable as edit data, so edit data, and then with our model name I have already loaded as a student class. So with this student class I only want to get a specific one of the row ID data. So here if you want to get it, we have to make it as a find, remember, and find our this requested ID. So here I simply add that our this requested ID, and after that I take that data, a specific one row data, and take that things with this variable. Now we have to visible it. So if you want to visible it, then we have to load one of the view page, right? So that will be as a return, and then view, into the return view area, also into the particular same position. Okay, that means that is our user, that is our student class. So backend setup student class, backend setup student class. Is the student class I want to create another one. So our file will be as edit underscore class. This type of the file I want to create, and here I want to pass our data, compact our this data, a specific one row data. I take the things with this variable, and here I pass it now in our this edit page, right? That means the edit class page. Perfect. So the friend, that's all we have to do. Now we have to create this one, that means the edit class. Now go to our student classes folder. Now click as a new file, and now I click as a save as, and I name it as the edit class.blade.php. So here I save it, right? So this page will be our edit page. That means it will be just like our add page. They have only one field. It's very much easy process actually. I copy everything from our add class. Okay, and now in our edit, here I paste it. So now I want to customize it. Only I have to do, I have to display that value, right? That will be as edit student class. Also here we have to update it, and that will be the student class name, and our name will be the same. Only I want to do visible that value. Our value will be loaded with a specific one of the ID, right? So here I have already get a specific this row ID data, take the things with this variable, and here I pass it in our compact page. Now we can actually access this in our edit class page. So now go to our edit class here with this. So with this edit data, I want to access our field name as a name, right? If you go to our database table, and here is our field name as a name. So with this name, I want to actually display this a specific one data. So here that will be as a name, right? That means right now our name should be visible with a specific this ID. If you now click as a save all, and now go there, click as a refresh. So here if you put your cursor, you can see friend, it's now showing as the edit one. That means the one is our requested ID, and there is a 2 and there is a 3. So if you now click as the edit, yeah, you can see it's now perfectly get our this requested ID, and it's also show our this value, right? So here I have already get this data. I have already get one specific row ID data, that means this requested ID data, and take the things with this variable, pass it in our edit class page. So into the edit class area, I simply value it. Okay, that means show that value. With this edit data, I display our database field name. So for the reasons you can see it's not perfectly visible. Okay, so if you go to the again another one, that means there is a class 2, click as the edit. Yeah, you can see our class 2 is perfectly loaded. So friend, that's all for our edit. Now we have to update. Okay, so better I want to change this button name. For the edit, I want to change this button name. It should be as update. Okay, it should be as update. Click as a save all. Now refresh it. Yeah, you can see it's now updated. So friend, I want to continue this process. In our next video, I will complete our total code application for the update and the delete. So thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video.